Yo, what you lot say? It's your boy here. Today I'm going to be doing the F1 2015 Malaysian Grand Prix review for you guys. So yeah, and also as well I'm going to be doing the MotoGP 2015 Qatar Grand Prix review as well. That's coming out later today, but before that we are going to be doing the review for the Malaysian Grand Prix. So let's get going. So, going into qualifying, I'm not going to talk about practice because nothing much really happened in practice, to be honest. The only two big the big two talking points was that Fernando Alonso was back and Marussia finally put in some laps of the 2015 season, nice to see Manu Marussia out on the track. And nice to see Fernando Alonso after his very, very horrifying accident, which gave him concussion, which put him out of the Australian Grand Prix. But yeah, he was back for the Malaysian Grand Prix in top form. And yeah, that's good to see him back, fresher than ever. So yeah. So let's move on to qualifying. Q1 was very hectic. Q1 was very hectic. A lot of the drivers were trying to get their laps in just to be on the safe side of the rain, because there was talk there was going to be big chances of rain, particularly in the middle of the session. But thankfully there was no rain in Q1. A lot of the drivers got their perfect laps in, and there you go. Hamilton was fastest. But sadly the two McLaren Hondas were out of Q1, unfortunate, but like I said, you know, it's going to take them time to be where they are. It's going to take them time to be where they want to be, so I think just give it time. I think they will be in a very strong position, so yeah. And then in Q2, the rain came. And that meant that a lot of the drivers had to go out at the start and really get their bankers in, get a lap time, so that when the rain came, they wouldn't lose out to Q3. I mean. Now, one man who almost was out of Q2 was Lewis Hamilton. Getting stuck in traffic behind a Sauber of Ericsson and the Ferrari of Kimi Raikkonen. That cost him a little bit of time and almost put him out of Q2, which would have been a massive shocker to the whole of the Formula One paddock. So yeah, but there was another shocker. Despite that, Kimi Raikkonen got blocked a couple of times, and as a result missed the window to get his perfect lap in, and as a result was out of Q2. Very unfortunate for the finished drive there. And then there was a little bit of a delay because of the massive rain that was coming down. At one point, you know, a lot of the paddock, a lot of the media was saying that it wasn't going to run. Q3 was not going to run. It was going to, and Q3 was going to have to run tomorrow. But thankfully, the track dried out, and finally we did get some cars out on track. And no problems whatsoever in terms of spin outs and whatnot. And yeah, in the end it was Lewis Hamilton who was in pole position, a fantastic time, a blistering time over his teammate Nico Rosberg by I think over a second, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty insane by Hamilton there. Vettel, second place for him, good lap by him there in the Ferrari. Showing that he feels a lot of comfort in that Ferrari than he did in the Red Bull last year. So yeah, that's good. And yeah, like I said, Nico Rosberg, a little bit surprised to be honest. I thought he'd be right up there with Hamilton, maybe about 2-3 tenths behind, but I don't know. It was a bit weird there. So yeah. So moving to the race, it was a good start from Lewis Hamilton. Nico Rosberg was trying to cover. No, Sebastian Vettel was covering Nico Rosberg, and thankfully he succeeded in trying to keep Rosberg behind as Vettel stayed in second after the first lap. And really, Vettel, was keeping up with the Mercedes, which was a massive surprise because last time out in Australia, Ferrari went nowhere near the pace of Mercedes in the race. So to see them with the Mercedes, in what is the second round of the championship, is quite phenomenal. It's quite phenomenal by him and the team, to be honest. Really just goes to show how much the team have put into their new car. So yeah. So yeah, that happened, and then there was punches going on. One was for Pastor Maldonado. He had a puncher, I think by some Toro Rosso or Force India drivers, not quite sure. And Kimi Raikkonen, who got hit from Marcus Ericsson in the Sauber. He had to come into the pits to change his tyres because of that puncture. And then as well, we saw Marcus Ericsson spinning and going into the gravel trap. And it was a really, really ridiculous spin that he did there. He came into turn 1 too deep, lost the rear, and went into the gravel trap. Very, very clumsy, a very, very clumsy mistake by Ericsson there. So yeah. And then as a result, the safety car came out, and Mercedes made a pretty bold call by pitting both drivers under the safety car, which dropped Hamilton down to 6th and Rosberg down to 9th. Vettel stayed out. He stayed out along with Hulkenberg, Grosjean, Sainz, Ericsson and Perez. So yeah, so as the safety car came out, it was massive catch-up time from both Mercedes. Both Mercedes were pushing hard to try and get through the pack, and boy did they get through the pack really quick. But surprisingly, they didn't go quicker than I expected them to. It took them a few laps to it took them probably about 5-6 laps to get past the whole of the cars that needed. It took them about 5 laps to get past the cars that Hamilton was trying to get past, and it took Rosberg about 7 laps for him to get past the whole pack as well. So yeah, and as a result, Sebastian Vettel, the leader, pulled an insane amount. He pulled 10 seconds over the two Mercedes, putting him in a great position to win the Malaysian Grand Prix. And then after that, we saw some good battling going on. In particular, the Red Bulls. The Red Bulls were fighting hard, but on one occasion they were fighting too hard. On one occasion, one of them was fighting too hard with another car, as Kvyat turned in, cut across Hulkenberg, going into turn 2. Hulkenberg touched Kvyat. Kvyat sent flying in a spin. His car was spun in a 360, which cost him a little bit of time. And yeah, I think he dropped down to like 12th or 11th. So yeah. And then after that, there was more dramas from the Force India camp, particularly with Grosjean. Particularly with Hulkenberg, as Grosjean tried to do a move around the outside of Hulkenberg, and yeah, Hulkenberg understeered straight into Grosjean. Grosjean spun and yeah, dropped a lot of places. Thankfully, he didn't lose his steering arm from that. To be honest, I'm really surprised that he didn't. I'm surprised that his car did not break at all during that contact, because that was a very, very hefty contact, to be honest. So yeah, and I'm really surprised they didn't end up in the gravel there. So yeah, so thankfully he was able to continue. So yeah. And then at the front we saw Sebastian Vettel pitted. He dropped down to third, and then caught up to Nico Rosberg with the fresh tyres on. He was running mediums. The team Mercedes, however, were running primes. So as a result, Sebastian Vettel got ahead of Nico Rosberg and was now on the charge of Lewis Hamilton, which he did. And at the same time as Sebastian getting ahead of Lewis, Lewis went into the pits to change his tyres. He changed from primes to options because Hamilton's primes were starting to hit the cliff. So yeah, he had to pit, bought a set of the medium tyre, and he came back on the track in third place, and started wheeling in Vettel, and then soon after Rosberg pitted. He came in for prime. So the two Mercedes tried different strategies to see if they can beat Sebastian Vettel in the red Ferrari there. And yeah, Vettel really was. You could say Vettel was really toying the two Mercedes, to be honest, and we haven't seen the team really toying the two Mercedes, probably not since Williams in Austria. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, if Ferrari can keep this pace going, you know, if they can take the fight more often to Mercedes, and we could be seeing a fight between Mercedes and Ferrari in the champion constructors, and maybe plus in the drivers. So yeah, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool, to be honest. So yeah, I hope that does happen, to be honest. So yeah, so then later on as well. Excuse me. Sorry. Later on, Alonso retired from the race. Not sure why, to be honest. Same with Button, so both McLaren Hondas were out of the race. Massive disappointment from them lot, but at least they'll be happy because Alonso completed more laps than he did in testing. 22 from his 22 from his 12 they did in testing. That is consecutively, not like overall. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. I think that's something they can take from as well. And then for the final pit stop, Lewis Hamilton came into the pits. He was leading as Vettel came into the pits for his final stop. He pitted for the prime tyre, surprisingly. Hamilton wanted the options, but he got the prime, so I don't know what was up with that, to be honest, but whether he ran out of options or not remains to be seen, you know. And to be honest, they didn't run too many dry sessions in qualifying. You know, the only wet qualifying session was in Q3, so you would think, you know, they would have, you know, more tyres to play with, but that wasn't the case. So yeah. And then as a result, he dropped it in, and then as a result, the gap was about 13 seconds, which Hamilton had to close down on the same tyres as Vettel. And Hamilton was really making it hard, was really finding it a little bit difficult to get ahead of Vettel. He was pushing it as hard as he can in the Mercedes, and yeah, just whatever he tried, you know, he could not match the pace that the team were telling him to. He was really getting a little bit, and as a result, he was getting really frustrated in the wheel of that Mercedes. And as well, Rosberg pitted for option tyres, so he had to deal with Rosberg closing him down as well. But thankfully, Rosberg didn't close down as much as I would expect it, to be honest. I'm really surprised, to be honest, because I would assume that Rosberg on the options and Hamilton on the prime, or wouldn't Rosberg close up and pass him? So yeah, that was a little weird there. I don't know what's up with that. And yeah, as a result, Sebastian Vettel won the Malaysian Grand Prix. You know, first Ferrari win since Spain 2013, with Fernando Alonso winning at his home event, or his third home event to count Valencia. So yeah, and Vettel's first win since Brazil in 2013. So wow, that is a seriously long time, to be honest. So yeah, what a victory! He thoroughly deserved it. Gave Mercedes their run for their money, and he defeated them fair and square. Those results deserved the victory thoroughly. And yeah, what a race it was! It was a very, very entertaining race throughout the whole field. And yeah, so yeah, that's going to do it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and yeah. And also, don't forget, MotoGP Qatar Grand Prix race review will be coming later today. So go, check that out later on. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. It's your boy, I'm out. Peace.